Office of Randall Realtors. We invite you to spend a little time, 20 minutes, as we share our insights and experiences, tips and tactics acquired over quite a few years. Our goal, help you become a successful buyer and a skilled seller.
Oh, as Wayne and Garth would say, I am not worthy. We practice these things. That should be clear. And Denise was pretending to struggle with that part of what she just said earlier today, and she didn't struggle. So now I get to say a little bit about how we got to be here. How we got to be here, we're both licensed agents in Connecticut, in Rhode Island. But years ago, we started doing buyer seminars. And those were pretty straightforward back in the day, which would we put an ad in the newspaper, invite people to come by our office and spend 60 to 90 minutes with us, and we would be doing a presentation, sometimes have speakers and all. It was well received. People found them helpful, and the feedback we got was informative, glad we attended, really like that kind of thing. But the funny thing about that was that we did surveys, follow-up surveys, which is a good practice. And the thing that jumped out at us for the responses was that, one of those essay questions, people were writing in things like, we really enjoyed talking to you or Denise or to the people during the breaks. I probably should have been insulted by that because we had a nicely organized presentation, right from A to Z. So we took that to heart. Fast forward to the present day.
And we decided to do something more modern. We are coming to you live, just like we do with people in their living rooms or kitchen tables, or when we're riding in cars with them. So we haven't been able to do that for a while because of everything going on in the world. And we realize that it's lacking. We need to be able to communicate with people, and this seems to be a good way to do it.
Yes, we stepped all over a bunch of really good lines.
I know I did. I know I did.
I had some excellent lines.
Yeah, but we have to move this intro part along because we have to
no,
get to our
no.
subject.
I was channeling Bob Newhart. I had a lot of stuff written right down here.
So we're going to put that page away and we're going to go to the next one, which is.
But the what Denise says is true, and it's all about duplicating the real estate experience as it was, which was, we helped our buyers understand what to do and sellers what to do, sitting at the kitchen table, driving to a showing. So these 20-minute briefings will be just that, not 60 or 90 minutes. Once a week, 20 minutes on some topic. The topic will vary, and your participation will vary the way the presentation goes.
So today we're going to talk to you about why do you need a real estate agent? And before we do that, we'd like you to follow us, share us, like us. If you have any questions at all, we would like this to be interactive. So please use your chat box or raise your hand if you're on Zoom. If you're on Facebook, we're trying to keep track of the chats. So please let us know if you have any questions.
So we will be jumping back and forth on the topic of agents.
We will be jumping back and forth on the topic of agents.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the two kinds of agents that are out there. There's seller's agents and there's buyer's agents.
Oh, okay. I was going to preface that with a commercial for the 20-minute briefings, which is that it's always going to be real estate. Sometimes it will be
You won't let it go, will you?
No, I love this. I love this part. Listen, always real estate. Sometimes it'll be focused on the buyer's experience. Other times it'll be about sellers. And it could be both. Tonight.
It is both tonight.
Yeah.
It is both.
How about that?
Because
segue?
Truthfully, every person who's involved with real estate should need a real estate agent. If you're selling a house, we are the ones that have access to marketing that you cannot access. We are the ones that know the area. We know what buyers are looking for in the current market. And we have a lot of experience in getting you to the closing. And the same thing really for buyers is the exact same purposes, but we do have specific purposes for each one.
We're professionals, licensed professionals.
And we're experienced.
I've got a third-party story. You want to hear that?
Absolutely. Love to hear a third-party
story.
No,
it actually doesn't have anything to do with buyer's agents. It has to do with having a professional do the work. I was showing a house today, and we go into the kitchen and we look down, there's a nice shiny Pergo floor or pre-finished floor. And it went well until we looked at the corners. And you looked at the corners and you saw the extra cuts, maybe an inch out from the corner. It just was awful. And I said to the buyer, Home Depot can do it. They can help, because that's the idea that, sure, you can do some things if you haven't done them before.
Good example of why you need a professional to do something.
Bec-
If you aren't experienced with something, if you don't have the education or the knowledge to do something, it's like if you cut your own hair, you can do
Oh.
great over here, but in the back, you
That's right.
can't see what you're doing. So you're always better, if you want a style, to
Yeah.
go to a hairdresser. If you're putting in a kitchen floor, unless you watch a lot of videos and have
Have
the
a
right
lot of
tools
yeah.
and have patience and not care if you mess something up and have to replace it, because financially, in the end, you're saving money by using a professional.
Mhm.
So that's really why both sides need to have a professional.
And that was just the kitchen floor. That's
yeah.
not your biggest
Well, a lot of
transaction.
that every time we go to houses where there's been a handyman homeowner, there's unfinished work, not quite finished work. You can usually tell unless they're actually licensed carpenters themselves.
Yeah. And and that's the reason you pay for that. With agents, both buyers and sellers agents, there's a big advantage for you as buyers and sellers. There's no charge for our services unless we're successful. And that's everybody, as you know, everybody works on commission in this part of the business. And I genuinely like that arrangement because it's paid upon success. Success defined by you as the client too. It isn't just, here's a house, buy it. It's your choice as a buyer and your choice as a seller to agree to whatever we've helped you get to.
Exactly. If you're a buyer, we're not going to talk you into buying a house. That's, if you like a house, that's going to be your choice. I mean, there's no way you can, it's not like you can talk someone into a car or a TV or something like that. We're a different kind of salespeople. Basically, it is about our experience. It's about our knowledge and also our resources. The average person does not have the resources that are available to us to give you what you need. So for example, with sellers, you want to charge a fair market value. How many of us have seen houses just sit on the market for a long time because they were overpriced by some seller? The other thing is that people are smart. If you don't have a real estate agent, they're going to want to give you a lower price because they know you're not paying a professional to do the job that needs to be done. So
in fact, most training books, you'll see that in the business. The first thing they'll do is deduct the commission from whatever they were going to offer, figuring you're not going to be paying one.
And if I'm working with a buyer and they ask me to go talk to somebody, what we call a FSBO, a person trying to sell their own
For sale
house.
by
I'm
owner.
sorry. Yeah, for sale by owner. The first thing I say to my client is there's no agent involved. I'm going to ask them to pay me. But after that, they're not going to, the rest of it is their money. So we're going to negotiate that into the sale price. So, and it's the same thing if you're a buyer. If you call the agent that's on the sign, that agent is probably the agent for the seller.
Representing the seller.
He's representing the seller,
Which
or
means his job is to what? Get the highest price for the seller?
Absolutely, get the highest price for the seller and do whatever's in the best interest of the seller. Or you may get the showing agent, which is basically the same thing. They're just working for the seller as well.
We're going to have a list show one of these times, briefing, and there'll be myths involved in real estate. That was one that
That's one of the
I've
myths.
always liked because we hear it. I just want to talk to the listing agent because for whatever reasons they believe that, well, if they talk to the listing agent, he'll or she will cut their commission and get them a better deal. Bet you not. It may happen, but that is one of the more pervasiveness in the business.
And as you get into the process, the listing agent can only give you so much information. They cannot give you any counsel or advice because their job is to give that to the seller. So when you say, well, how much should I offer for this house? They can't tell you that. They can't give you any information on those kind of things. So the best thing to do is to get your own agent. And if you're whether you're a buyer or a seller, you're actually going to need a team of professionals. You're going to need an agent and other things that we'll discuss in another 20-minute briefing, probably a few weeks from now.
We want to save that because
Yes.
then, and now I get to talk about the whole show again.
No,
Because-
we're not there yet.
No,
We're
no,
still
no, no.
talking
It's
about
all
agents.
about just little context of now agents, and sometimes we'll talk about.
I keep
what
telling you, we
agents
don't
do.
have to keep telling them what we're doing.
Oh yeah, we do.
No. So if you're a seller, we're going to come in, we're going to give you some advice on the house and what will make it more marketable.
And sometimes called
We're
a
going to tell you what your
CMA.
responsibilities are, because by law, you do have, now we're not lawyers, but we do know what the seller's responsibilities are for buying a house,
Well,
for
it's a-
selling a house,
And it's a
excuse me.
simple thing, even for sale by owner. The Rhode Island, for instance, has a seller's disclosure
Right.
form, and it's just a form that the seller. And it's interesting because
Well, actually, all states, not just Rhode Island.
true. But the interesting thing is that we as agents don't go near that. We say, hey, here's a seller's disclosure. You need to fill that out, because we don't touch that, because our role is to guide them through the process, as you say, and offer advice and experience.
So we can tell you what your responsibilities are. Another one is in Rhode Island, you're responsible to have smoke detectors inspected before closing.
One of two states
Yes, there's only 2 states that can do that.
have required it.
If you are not a real estate agent, you may not know that. Your lawyer, of course, will tell you that, but they charge you a lot of money to give you that kind of advice when you can get it from a real estate agent. Also, we can process your paperwork. Our MLS systems, all the MLS systems provide us with paperwork that's pretty much boilerplate. So that's a nice thing to have. And we can do that. Marketing is huge for sellers agent.
Well, everything is internet. We're an example of that. So everything goes out there, but it's kind of an automatic thing, exposure, but that alone doesn't do anything.
Well, it's an automatic thing for a real estate
Yeah,
agent. It's not automatic if you're listing it on your own without a real estate agent. And every company has more processes than just our MLSs. And individually, agents do have social media platforms like we do. We have them individually and together.
Yep.
And also, we're doing our best to find clients, and so we're out there. We know what's going on in the real estate market in our areas. So, but if you're a buyer, also, I'm sorry, back one more time.
Yeah.
Open houses,
Oh, I was
walk
about
you
to
through
say
the closing.
that. Half of this stuff is going to have a footnote on it. Showings, open houses. We're in the year of indoors, 2020. And so we're here because of the changes. Open houses, you should try an open house sometime. Nowadays, under the current rules, it's like you take a number and you walk through, and only X number of people can be in the house at a given time. That isn't something that you, if you were selling your house, couldn't figure out, but it's staying aware of it and not letting it throw you off. The goal of any listing agent is to expose the house to the market to get the highest and best offer for the property.
Right.
And so everything that goes into doing that, getting that offer, is the experience.
Right.
And
And
the
we
tools.
also can get brokers to come to your house. We have broker open houses where we get other real estate agents to come look. So if they're working as buyer agents with someone, it may be something they're interested in seeing. And as far as buyers go, what do we do for buyers? Well, my number one.
We go on live.
We do go on
that
live.
for buyers. Jeez,
I think the most important thing with buyers is being able to listen and communicate. You do need to listen and communicate with sellers as well, but with buyers, they don't always really know what they want, or if they do really know what they want, why are you showing them something they don't want? That's a major complaint.
Okay. You said it earlier, we do rehearsal, believe it or not, from what I'm doing. but we were talking about how do you pick an agent,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea of good news is there's no shortage of agents. You will find one if you turn around right now. You'll find somebody who is an agent or knows an agent. A lot of us out there. The key is how do you pick among them? Your Aunt Edna, she'll know somebody and will want you to have them act as your agent. What we tend to suggest, or at least I suggest, is that go to your people you know for referrals for agents. If you're a seller getting ready to put a house on the market, or if you're a buyer, ask your friends and relatives, trusted sources. Say who do you like? But interview three, at least three,
Mm-hmm.
because just because your brother-in-law really liked Ralph doesn't mean that you and the agent will work together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like when you're in school and everybody has different ways of learning. We all have different ways of communicating. So you're going to want to be with someone who you're comfortable with and that you trust. So, sometimes your family and your friends will know an agent, but they haven't actually worked with the
Yeah.
agent. So it's always best to do your own interviewing and talk to the people and get a feel for how you guys feel together, how comfortable you are.
Communication.
Communication is vital, especially I think with buyers, because you know you don't want to waste your time or our time or the seller's time with going to look at properties you have no interest in the minute you walk in the door.
That is the fun part. And so when you have an agent that knows their market, that will be a resource that's really invaluable. And
Mhm.
they'll ask questions, or you can ask them questions. But we're doing this. I'm doing it again. We're doing this because back in the day, you would learn about real estate not so much by seminars or 20-minute briefings, but by going to a showing. You'd hang out with your agent, and what happens is if you haven't bought a house before, you can hear all about what we will tell you the process from A to B. Um,
Which we said already.
we did,
Yeah.
but what happens is when you're involved in it, that's when the need for information exerts itself.
But the other thing too about working with buyers is we can make arrangements for you to see the houses you want to see. We can tell you sometimes whether or not the house is worth going to see. Is it overpriced? Is it in
Yeah.
poor repair? These are things that we learn along the way, that we have seen some of these houses or we know what's going on in that particular market. We'll set up searches for you. We'll make appointments and arrange tours for you. And we also know what responsibilities the buyers have. You do have responsibilities like inspections and, arranging your financing, all of which we'll talk about at another briefing. But there are responsibilities, and ultimately, our goal is to get you help you negotiate a deal on the house you want, and get you to a successful closing. Get keys in your hands. This is what we don't get paid until we do that. So it's in our best interest to represent you the best we can and get you to that point.
That is the idea of an agent, the intermediary, um, the skilled professional who will get between you. In negotiations, it's a Denise has probably already mentioned the idea of having an agent in either capacity, as a seller or buyer. You want an intermediary because if you're doing something, especially negotiating, getting in their face doesn't always yield the best result. So having an agent to manage that part of the process is definitely the biggest advantage, in my opinion, of having an agent, because when you make an offer, there's a certain length of time that you can wait. There's a lot of the strategies to making offers.
Absolutely. And that we will get into that again on negotiations and offers. When you make an offer, how do I make an offer? What do I do with an offer if you're a seller? So all of that will come up in other sessions. But have we covered everything that we do for agents here?
I hope not. We have 4 minutes left.
We do have 4 minutes left.
We
So-
better, well, it's fun. Oh, I can't.
Well, why don't you tell them about the agent, that television show you saw?
Oh,
HGTV
yes.
is really a headache for a lot of people that are looking for houses, because what you see there is not what we agents do.
Yeah, and I use this, and this is what this briefing thing is all about, my own experience as a third-party story. And a friend of mine was a trainer in sales back in the day, and we always talked about third-party stories, which are true events that help illustrate a point you're trying to make. So, you think that was too long a
Would you
setup?
please say the story?
Oh, okay. So I was watching some show on real estate on TV, and the premise was, let's follow an agent and their buyers and see how they buy a house. So we get the scene and the car driving up, the people and their agent getting out of the car, walking up to the house, and like 3 seconds later, walking back and getting into the car. Okay, that happens. Sometimes you don't like the house, except the voiceover guy, the narrator, came on and said, well, it looks like Tim and Ethel didn't particularly like that, and that was the 37th house. And I did what all agents will do. Why would you be seeing 37 houses and get it so wrong by number 37? And the idea is an agent learns what it is you're looking for. Even allowing for the fact that as a buyer, what you're looking for sometimes changes as you look.
Oh, it always changes. Always changes.
But there was a good. I used that because Denise has said communication before, and really that's what having an agent is all about from you as a buyer or you as a seller, is having good communications so that they understand what your personal direct goals are. And if you said, I want only a ranch house, and an agent takes people to a colonial, then that kind of once is okay. Then, and I think I was saying earlier today, when you're having an agent help you do a search for a house, the list that they come back to gets smaller each time.
Right, because once we get to know you, once you communicate with us, and sometimes the way we communicate is not with our words, but sometimes when we're walking around looking at houses, we start to see things you like or you don't like. And that helps us in the future when we're looking for something that you might be interested in. And it's the same thing with sellers. I
Yeah.
mean, we need to help sellers realize what people are looking for today. If you have vinyl floors and vinyl countertops and, haven't changed your house in 50 years, where that's going to affect the marketability of it. It may not necessarily affect the value if you're in a beautiful location, but it may affect the marketability of your house. And so these are the things that we know because we're in the business, because we are professionals, and that we can help you realize what you need to do, which is either sell your house or buy a house.
Yeah. And I actually had that experience today on a showing, but I won't go into it because we seem to be coming down to the
We
close
are.
of
We're
our
right at
20
the
minutes.
end. So please share us, like us. We do upload our videos to YouTube. So visit us on YouTube.
That's Coastal New England Real Estate Team on YouTube.
Yes. And the email address that you see at the bottom of the screen, if you're on Zoom, is where you can send us questions. We'd love to talk about what you're interested in on one of our sessions. If you're not on Zoom, if you're on Facebook, visit the Coastal New England Real Estate Team on Facebook page, and you will get our contact information.
So we would conclude with that.
We will conclude with that.
Happy holidays, et cetera, et cetera. We being in Christmas week.
Yes, we are in the Christmas week. We will be here next week. And next week, our session is going to be, is this the house for you?
Oh, damn, I like that too.
It is. It's good. So have a great holiday. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye, Alex.
See you later.
Take care.
I think we're still on.
You are.
Oh, we're still
Oh,
on.
that's because I have to move
I'm gonna
this.
cut this.
We went off live, though.
All right, we went off